Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn German Dheere Dheere. I hope you all are doing well. Today I am here with a very important topic of German grammar, the imperative. The imperative is used for giving orders or instructing people to do things. In English, the imperative works by using the infinitive form of the verb. Go home, open your books, close the window. Whether you are addressing only one person or several, it does not change. The imperative in German is a bit more complicated. There are different forms depending on whether you are addressing one person only or more than one. German also distinguishes between the formal and informal mode of address in the imperative. Here is an overview of the different forms of the imperative for the infinitive verb kommen, which means to come. For informal singular du, we use komm. For informal plural ihr, we say kommt. For formal Sie, both singular and plural, we say kommen Sie, kommen Sie. Similarly, warten Sie for waiting, sprechen Sie for saying, etc. So here is the rule number one when dealing with one or more people you are not intimate with. For example, strangers or some official authority when we address them as formal Z. Like in Hindi we say आप. जैसे हिंदी में हम आप यूज करते हैं सिमिलरली अगर जर्मन लैंग्वेज में हम जी यूज कर रहे हैं फॉर्मल कम्युनिकेशन के लिए in these cases we use the infinitive verb plus z to make a formal imperative. For example, kommen Sie means please come, or warten Sie means please wait. Notice how the pronoun Sie stays in the command immediately after the verb. Now, here is the rule number two when dealing with two or more people you are familiar with. For example, your family or friends or children, when we use the pronoun ihr, IHR, ear. In such cases, we use the verb stem form plus a T. So, kommen, infinitive verb, kommen, which means to come, it becomes kommt. Warten, which means to wait, becomes wartet. For informal pronouns, we do not have to use the pronoun like we do for formal Sie. So, we do not have to say kommt ihr. We simply say kommt. Bitte means please. So, kommt bitte means please come. And wartet auf uns means wait for us. So here, as you can see, the stem form ends in T. So we are adding an extra E before the T ending. And here is the rule number three when dealing with one person that you are familiar with, and we use the du pronoun for single informal form. In such cases, when we use du for someone, we simply use the verb stem, that is removing the en from the infinitive verb. So kommen becomes kom, trinken becomes trink. So here, come here means come here. Trinken, drink vinegar means drink less. Now for the do pronoun, we have several irregular forms. Those verbs which have some variations in the present tense also have slight variations for the imperative. Verbs ending in D or T consonant plus M or N add an E. For example, atmen becomes atme. So here we have a use case atme schneller, which means breathe faster. That is for the do form. Secondly, the verbs in which stem vowel change in the present tense also have the same vowel change in the imperative. For example, E becomes I or IE in sprechen or lesen infinitives. So, sprechen becomes sprich, lesen becomes lies. As we saw in our previous videos, we use spricht or liest for do in the present forms. Thirdly, verbs which have a stem vowel change from A to A umlaut do not change. So, fahren becomes far in do imperative forms, and becomes tragen becomes trag. We simply use the stem form. I hope you remember that fahren gets its A change to A umlaut in the simple present forms. For example, du fährst langsam, but in the imperative, it will not change from A to A umlaut. I hope you all have watched my previous video on irregular verbs haben and sein. In imperative form, haben and sein behave like regular verbs, so we use the stem form of the verb. For do, we remove en from haben and say hab. For example, hab Geduld, which means have patience. For ihr, just add a t to the stem form. For example, habt Geduld. For sie, say haben Sie Geduld. For sein, remove n for the do form. For example, sei vorsichtig, which means be careful. For ihr, seid vorsichtig. For sie, use the stem plus n plus en. For sie, we are using sie plus en. So, seien Sie vorsichtig. The rule of the imperative in German is that the verb comes in the first position in the sentence. At the end, we have an exclamation mark indicating the imperative. Unlike English, where an exclamation can be considered as yelling, in German it's totally fine to have an exclamation at the end to indicate a command and it is not considered impolite. Here we have another concept that I covered in one of my previous videos, the separable verbs. In imperatives as well, the verbs separate and the separable prefix, for example an, goes to the end of the sentence or clause. So imperative of anfangen, which means you are telling someone to start, becomes fangen Sie an or fang an or fangt an. Another example with the infinitive mitmachen, which means join us or collaborate with us, becomes mach mit or machen Sie mit. Let's have a look at a real-world application of the imperatives. German often uses the imperative forms to offer an advice. It could be a health advice, financial advice, or any other form of advice. For example, iss mehr Gemüse, which means eat more vegetables. Schlafen Sie mehr, which means sleep more. Hört mit dem Rauchen auf, which means stop smoking. Rauchen means smoking, and the infinitive verb aufhören, which means stop. If we wish to soften our command to make it sound more polite, we use the word bitte, which means please in English. The word bitte usually follows the verb and pronouns. For example, these sentences: Bring mir noch ein Bier, bitte, which means please bring me another beer. Sprechen Sie langsamer, bitte, which means please speak slowly. So here we have a small quiz. Match the correct imperative form of the infinitive verb kommen in all of these scenarios. Scenario A, your university professor. So for the university professor, we are going to use the pronoun Sie. So the correct imperative will be kommen Sie. Scenario B, a golden retriever. Here we have the case of informal communication for one person. So we are going to simply remove the en part from the infinitive verb kommen. Com. Scenario C. Here we have the case of informal communication for more than one person. So we are going to remove the en from the infinitive verb kommen and then we are going to add t. So kommt. Second quiz. Command a single close friend to speak quieter. The infinitive verb to speak is sprechen. The stem form of the verb sprechen is sprech by removing the en part and then the e is replaced by I for the du pronoun. So the answer is sprich leise. Quiz number 3. Formally command a stranger to start. Here we will be using the Z pronoun since we are dealing with stranger and the separable verb Anfangen becomes fangen Sie an. So friends, it's time to end the video. I hope you all enjoyed and learned a lot from this video. Before we end, let's do a quick recap of today's session. We use the stem form of the verb for regular verbs like kommen, and we use the pronoun sie as well for the formal communication. Here we have the summary of the do form exceptions for D and T stems where we add an E to the stem form. Second is the E shift where E becomes I or IE. Then the third shift where A does not change to A umlaut in imperatives. Here we have the table for irregular verbs haben and sein. Lastly, we have the position rule. So the verb that comes in position 1 followed by the pronoun and the separable prefixes at the end. So friends, that was it for today. It's time to say bye. Thanks for your kind support and keep watching my channel. Cheers!